There are uniques everywhere in Avowed.
Ooh, shiny!
So today we'll cover the best early game uniques for a fighter, a ranger, and a wizard, and I'll tell you exactly how to unlock the massive god totem buffs. Let's go. Let me know any cool uniques you have found in the comments down below. So we'll start with the best fighter gear across the board, which is essentially like, your big hitting heavy weapons as well as heavy armor. Now there is a perfect set of armor to coalesce with this in the early game called the Steel Garrote set. We shall start with the boots as they're the first one that I found. These are found in the uraBecome camp, sort of to the west and the southwest-ish of the overgrown frontier. You'll just need to defeat the enemies in this camp and you'll actually just find it sitting on the ground. These increase your carry capacity by 5 and also give you constitution +1, which is great for your overall health. The Steel Garrote armor itself is actually found on a corpse at the end of the ruinous cavern. Now the ruinous cavern is found underneath Paradise. You'll essentially need to follow the river on the side of Paradise and you'll actually see like a cave entrance here, and at the bottom of that cave, once you've defeated the spider, is where you will find the chest piece. What this does is when taking damage greater than 25% of your maximum health, your attacker receives 50% of that damage. So fantastic to deal damage back to enemies, plus you also get some constitution for that as well. And the gauntlets is the last piece of this puzzle. These are just found outside Paradise, actually on the eastern side. There is a little like cobweb that you'll need to use fire. Kai can do this, or you can just shoot fire yourself to break the cobweb, and then inside there is where you'll find the gauntlets that give you a plus 10% parry efficiency and increase your maximum stamina by 20, which is fantastic because when you are swinging big weapons like the 7 Strifers two-handed unique melee weapon, you will need that stamina because they do require a lot of stamina in order to swing these big weapons like this. This two-handed melee weapon is found in the falls to the north of Paradise. It's actually where you will find a ogre bounty as well. In the back corner of like his cave is where you will find this weapon. You can pick this up and equip it from here. So basically this is like a solid starting setup for a fighter. Now I will get into like a really strong one-handed melee weapon and a shield in the next block as well, but as a starting kit, really, you can go and grab this stuff and you'll absolutely see success in combat, especially when you combine this with, say, the charge skill or even the barbaric shout as well. You'll be able to increase your overall efficiency in combat, charge at enemies, and swing with the massive axe. Now, with unique weapons, by the way, you can actually go to the enchant at your camp and enchant them and change that first effect. So the 7 Strifers initially has an effect to killing an enemy increases your movement speed by 15% for 10 seconds. Now you get 2 options when you enchant this that will replace that. And for me, I picked the successful parry restores 20% of your maximum health because you will take a fair amount of damage in a build like this, especially when you're wearing all that heavy armor. It's sort of part of the build, like especially with the Steel Garrote plate set, that you want to take that damage to then push that damage back onto your enemies. So having a way to quickly restore health without having to pop a potion just by parrying, which you will do a fair bit of as well, just really helps with this set. Plus also the Steel Garrote gauntlets that increase your parry efficiency. So it just really fits together neatly as an early build setup. Let's move on to the Ranger. Now, unfortunately in Dawn Shore, the first area of the game, there isn't really any good medium armor, which is a little disappointing. Now you could just use the Steel Garrote set that we were just talking about, but there's also the premium sets as well that you get for purchasing the premium edition. Those sets are actually really good and you can upgrade them the same as you could any other normal set. So I do like the idea of using like the Obsidian Order set for a sort of Ranger setup because of the critical hit chance that you can get in the early game, as well as on the boots you get maximum stamina. So it does fit neatly into a build like this, but I wouldn't be running out to purchase the premium edition if you haven't just for this set. Like you will find medium armor later in the game and you could just wear heavy or light armor, as we'll get into a light armor set when we talk about the wizard stuff. But I did want to talk about some weapons, as there's some incredible weapons in Dawnshire for something like this. First, let's talk about a pistol called Zarok's Pride. This is actually found from a bounty as well. What's great about this pistol is it also does shock damage plus bonus shock damage on your power attacks. This comes from a bounty to the southeast of Paradise, sort of on the little islands there. You'll need to defeat the gentleman that has this weapon as part of the bounty, then he'll drop it and you'll be able to use it for yourself. Now, literally, like, one of the best weapons in the game comes from a side quest in Dawn Shore as well. The side quest is called Dawn Treader. This quest is found in the north of Paradise in the temple. There's an entrance to the temple there and you need to go in there. Now you'll meet a gentleman in there that has this sword, and in order to get the sword, you will need to choose an unfortunate ending that requires you to defeat this person to take the sword, which I kind of think you should do because it's just an incredible weapon. So it drops as a fine quality, so it's not common like a lot of these early game unique drops. And its initial like passive effects here is killing an enemy restores 3% of your maximum health and hits deal an extra 10% bonus fire damage. Now you can enchant this to make that effect up to 10% maximum health just for killing enemies with this weapon. So it's fantastic for a one-armed weapon, especially in harder difficulties like I was playing in the early game, where you can get a little bit of health back when you defeat enemies. And it combos perfectly with a dagger that you can actually get in Dawnshire as well, called Sheathed in Summer. The Sheathed in Summer dagger at a full combo attack deals moderate fire accumulation, and its second effect hits deal 10% bonus fire damage as well. So you've got two weapons that you can dual wield that both add fire damage, that both do bonus fire damage, and this also comes from a bounty in the Godless Ruins in Paradise. You just need to defeat the bounty and then they will drop this dagger for you to pick up, and you can dual wield these weapons. Now, if you don't like dual wielding weapons, say you want to use a shield either as a fighter or a ranger, you definitely can. Wind and Wave is an easy one that you can get as part of a treasure map hunt. It's very early in the game that you can grab this from underneath the bridge that leads to Paradise on the western side. There's like a little pathway that you'll need to go, and you'll actually just find the shield just like sitting on the ground next to a chest that you can access as well. All right, let's move on to some wizard gear for the early game. Wizard gear there is plenty of. Unfortunately, you can't get a wand that's like a unique in Dawnshire, but I will tell you we can get one after the fact. But there is a really good grimoire that you can get very early in the game called Annextiles Grimoire. Probably saying that wrong, but it comes with Fan of Flames, which is a good like cone of fire attack in front of you. Arcane Veil, which will give you a powerful arcane shield to prevent you from taking damage, which is fantastic when you're wearing light armor like this for a wizard build. It also comes with Grimoire Snap, which is great because you can expel enemies away from you when they get too close, and Missile Salvo, which is sort of a set and forget area of effect attack that once that's active, it'll just deal damage to enemies around you. So it's quite a unique grimoire, and you can get it very early in the game. In the Ivone's Threshold area, just past the cemetery, there's like a pathway that will take you sort of up into the cliff area as if you were heading to the cottage. Now, if you double back there is a way that you can get onto like this cliff face where you will find this grimoire along with a pyromancer key. That key will unlock a chest down at the pyromancer camp that you can see from up there. There isn't a unique in that chest, but it does just give you some good resources if you want to go and pick those up. The Arcana set is the set I wanted to talk about for a budding wizard like yourself. Now, the first set part of this is the boots that you'll actually find at the lighthouse, which you can see from the shore when you arrive in like the Paradise Dawnshire region. If you climb to the very top of the lighthouse, you'll actually find the arcane boots. Now, these will give you plus 10% move speed, which is great to get a little bit away from enemies, as well as increasing your health restoration. There is one other thing to pick up in that lighthouse, but we will cover that in the next block, so just keep in mind. There is an arcane ring you can get in the Castoy's Folly to the southeast-ish of Paradise, like up in the cliff face there, but this only increases your intellect by 1, which isn't a massive increase, but I thought I would just point it out that you can get it if you do want to sort of complete this set. But there is more to this set as well, like the gloves. The gloves are found near the Ancient Memory in the Dawnshire region. These gloves will give you plus 10 parkour speed, which is just a fine bonus, but the main bonus is the plus 20 to your maximum essence, and this is found a little bit close to that Ancient Memory, but a bit of a distance away at the shrine to owuDecca is where you'll find it. Another location that we will return to in the next block of this video. But the chest piece is the main one you want because it increases your area of effect damage by 15% and increases your maximum essence by 20. It's a fantastic light armor set to grab in this early game section. You will find the Gambeson in the Yellow Band camp, which is actually where a bounty is as well, in one of the ruined houses there. It's in a chest there is where you will find it. I'll give you one more ring, which is fantastic for all of the builds that we have talked about, which is called the Ring of Slow Essence, which will slowly regenerate your essence. Now, use essence to cast your spells, to use your skills, all that good stuff. So the more essence you have, the more you can get off. This comes from a minor puzzle just to the west of Paradise, like outside the city. There's a location here where you've sort of got like some ruins. Now, in these ruins, there is a statue, and in the statue's lantern, you'll actually find a switch. Pulling that switch will open a secret door that will have a chest inside that has the Ring of Slow Essence. So now you're essentially all kitted out as a wizard, but you don't have a wand. Well, in the early game, you can just use like any of the common wands that you find, increase them to a fine wand just to increase their damage. But there is a fantastic wand that you can get as soon as you reach the Emerald Stair, which is the second region of the game. You don't even need to do anything in order to get this. You essentially just need to go to Fire, the city itself. The very first vendor you'll find in that city will sell you Mileta's Conduit, which is a unique wand that adds +5 attack damage, +30% maximum wand range, and hits deal an extra 10% bonus shock damage. So you'll be able to electrocute enemies, and which will then in turn allow you to stun them more easily and deal damage that way. But when you enchant this weapon as well, you can actually increase that attack damage percentage to 10%, which is a massive increase, especially for wands, which aren't the highest damage weapons in the game. And this will really allow you to sing as a wand user in the early to mid game. And it's a wand that I actually used basically through my entire playthrough once I picked this up in the Fire region. I've got one more big thing for you in this video, which is essentially like an insane buff that is just a passive buff that there's one of these in all the different regions that you need to unlock, but you need to find 6 pieces of a godlike totem. Now, what this totem will do is once you've collected all the pieces, you'll be able to activate it at your camp, and it will give you a certain set of like passive bonuses. For the very first one in the game, called Scales of Oathbinder, this will reduce your companion's ability cooldowns by 15%, critical hits deal high fire accumulation, fantastic for that ranger build we talked about. Reviving a companion grants rapid health and essence regeneration. Activating a companion ability increases your damage for 5 seconds. Queen's Burden, so +2 intellect and +2 resolve. And then Second Wind, like when you essentially die and get incapacitated and you like come back, you will cast Ring of Fire automatically. So just like great passive buffs, and all these across the board in the game are slightly different with different buffs, so they fit different build varieties. Now for the 6 pieces, you will find the first one in the lighthouse that we touched on earlier in this video when we were talking about the arcane. That is where you'll find the golden plaque of promises on your way up to the boots on the roof. It's like halfway up the lighthouse. The second piece is found at the Pargroon Cache to the north of Paradise. You'll need to do a little bit of a jumping puzzle up here to climb up these like cache ruins and then jump across these to this cliff face, and in a nest here is where you'll actually find the totem piece. The third piece is actually found in Paradise itself. I found this by accident by crawling across the rooftops. There's like a building that you can enter in the market district, and if you follow this down to like the cellar, you'll actually be able to find the totem piece down there. There is some enemies down there, so do just be careful, but you'll be able to find the totem piece. It's not in Paradise Hightown, it is near the market district itself, but you will be able to find it down there. The fourth piece is found on a cliff face at Castoy's Folly. You'll just need to head down here south of Paradise and you'll be able to locate it. Kai will actually point this one out for you, as he assumedly will, because he did for me. Number 5 is actually found at Usher's Hand. There is like an ice grate that you'll need to use ice to destroy here, and it's found underneath that grate. So any ice ability will be able to destroy it. You'll then be able to drop down into this space and grab the God Shrine Totem fragment for this piece. That'll give you 5 out of 6, and the final piece is like the main piece that you'll need to get. Now, this is actually found at the Shrine of Wodika. There are some people here that will talk to you and tell you about essentially kind of how this works. Now, the Shrine of Wodika is found right near the Rise area of the game, and we did touch on where this is a little bit earlier in the video. Once you've got this piece and you've collected all the other 5, you'll be able to take these back to your camp and then place it on its specific totem place, and then you can add all of the fragments to the totem. You'll get some interesting lore stuff that I won't spoil, but then after that you will get these benefits activated, and this is essentially the same process for all the different ones you can find in the game. A couple of quick tips to help you find these totem pieces: there is a menu option in the UI settings that you can actually turn on so that these will show on your compass. It's turned off by default, but you can turn that on so you won't actually miss them. And in all of the different regions, there is actually a vendor that will sell you a quest item, which will unlock a quest for all of the 6 different fragments, and it'll give you a hint about roughly where you can find it. It doesn't tell you exactly where, it's sort of like a riddle, but it will tell you a bit of a hint about where you can find it in that region. Hope that helps you guys, and let me know any other things you would like me to do for Avowed. If you want some like endgame builds or more tips, let me know in the comments down below. But thank you guys for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.